Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. In today's video I'm going to be doing a guide on the Chapter 2 Season 3 Infinite Labyrinth. I just want to give a quick thanks to everyone that's helped me find some strats, and let's get straight into it. This is to be the team that I'll be using for the first stage. The builds will be at the end of the video. Much like any of my other videos, today's guide isn't going to be aimed towards free-to-throw players just because some of the strats do require higher level gear, but you're more than welcome to adapt and change it however you feel like. To start, we just want to make sure that Marla's below 50% HP if you're running Werewolf's artifact, but then we're going to be coming over to the bottom left corner of this cube and just casting Cherry's skill and then Marla's skill as well. And once Marla's skill's done, we're going to be starting the wave and then casting Plantain's ult at the top as quick as we can. But you don't want to be too quick since the enemies can spawn a little bit later. But the quicker you are and the more efficient you are, you kind of want to get it on the second burst of Plantain's ult just so you can move faster. But once those enemies are dead, we're just going to be using Marla's skill on these bottom groups of enemies and using her basic attack on this big enemy over here. And we're dashing up to the top right over here because this enemy and the one down here will be killed by Cherry. We don't need to worry about that. Then we can just quickly swap to Cherry and use her skill like that, and it should just kill them all pretty easily. You want to aim for about 8 to 7 seconds on this stage. Much like the start, we're going to make sure Soda's below 75% HP just so that we can get her Chili's artifact to proc, just since my Soda's a little bit weak. To begin, we're going to be casting Rockstar's ult around here. You don't need to worry about Rockstar's buff since this stage is pretty quick. Just casting Rockstar's ult about here. And then we're going to be casting Cherry's skill and then her ult. You want to cast her skill then ult first just to make sure that Wizard's artifact procs. And then once the ult starts, we're just going to be starting the wave and coming up here, swapping to Soda. Then we're going to be using her ult to kill this enemy over here and this enemy over here. You do want to be really quick with this just so you can save a couple fractions of a second, and it does help in the long run. Then this enemy here, you want to aim your wave to kill this guy over on the right. If you do miss, you need to reset the run since you lose about 1.5 seconds trying to go for him. So if you go for that and then your Soda kills it, then your Alchemist, if she's strong enough, she should just be able to clear all these guys in a couple ticks. If not, you may need to reset a couple runs for crits to happen. But yeah, you want to aim for about 10 seconds on this. 10 to 9 seconds is a good idea to go for. You can get 8, but 8's a bit finicky to do. This stage here is definitely the hardest if your wizard isn't built correctly, and your Lemezis isn't built as well, since these enemies do tank quite a bit of damage. So if you don't have a good Lemezis or wizard build, you may struggle a little bit here. But just to begin, we're going to be casting Wizard's ultimate and Wizard's skill after we start the wave here. So just casting Wizard's ult, starting the wave, and then Wizard's skill. Then we're going to be using Lemon Zest to kill this guy up here, and using his skill up here to kill these two enemies as well. Once those two are dead, we're going to be casting his ult. Then we're going to be coming down here using Plantain's ult on the enemies group over here, and then his skill on the right side enemies over here and these guys in the middle. It isn't too hard to aim if you hit towards the right side with Plantain, but it can be a little bit finicky to get a quicker kill. Just to start, like I said, Wizard's ult at the top left, starting the wave, Wizard's skill around where the two enemies would spawn, swapping to Lemon Zest, using his skill, and then killing the guy in the middle. You don't need to really worry about this since Wizard's ult would usually take out the enemy that spawns here. If he doesn't, you may want to reset. It's up to you personally how quick of a time you really are going for. Using the ult on the two enemies that spawn over here to start the wave as quickly as possible. Casting Plantain's ult. And then using his skill to kill the two enemies at the top left here. You really want to be as quick as possible to avoid getting stunned, since you lose so much time if you get stunned and it's not really worth it. And then after they're dead, if you can't kill the two minions with Wizard, just swap back to Lemon Zest and finish them off. This is a relatively easy chapter. You probably want to go for about 2850, 2860 if you can get that. 2860 is about what you want to aim for, but 2850 works as well. Stage 2 here, I didn't swap anything out for anyone. If you can swap out Marla's artifact for Ninja's artifact. That just works a lot better than Werewolf's artifact since you don't take any damage from any external objects here. But just to begin, you want to start with Cherry's ultimate around this line over here. You don't want to be too far to the left since the minions do walk up a little bit. So around here is a good place to start. So you just start with Cherry's charge up attack, ult, and then it really kind of depends on how strong your Marla is here. If your Marla is extremely strong, you want to start the wave, cast her ult, and then wait for the enemies to spawn, then use her skill to kill the enemies really quickly. If she's not that strong, you want to cast her ult before you start the wave. Then you can go to Marla to cast her skill and then use her basic attacks to kill the enemies as quickly as possible. And then after the first wave is dead, you just come up to the right side, cast Cherry's charge up attack again on the enemies over here to weaken them a little bit. If your Cherry's strong, you can just use her skill to kill everyone instantly. If not, like I said, just use your charge up attack. Then you're going to use Durian's ult on the one enemy that's left. If you're positioned correctly, he should be able to hit the two enemies that spawn on the right side over here. If you're not, you may need to aim your ult just so that you can hit these guys over here. If you delay it, you can wait for the enemy that spawns from the left side to run over, but I prefer not to delay it since I have got my fastest run not delaying it. But yeah, I'll just show you what that looks like now. So we just start the wave. We're going to wait for the first enemy to spawn. So yeah, like there, so we see the first little dot appear, casting her ult, and we do this just to make sure the ninja tag applies as quick as possible. And then once those enemies are dead, again we're going to be casting up her charge attack, her skill. Again, like as in the first chapter, you want to avoid being stunned here, and as you can see, this guy's going to die, so I won't swap to Durian and use his ult because it will completely miss, so I'm going to aim it around about here. And yeah, delaying it a little bit did make this guy get hit, so I can just use a skill, but if you don't delay it, you may need to just use a charge attack, sorry, a basic attack and then a skill to kill him off. So this stage is decently hard if you don't have a good Rockstar or Alchemist build, since they do, like Rockstar gives the amp buff, and Alchemist requires the long damage over time that she gives. If you are slow, Alchemist's ult will disappear on the final wave, so it may be a lot harder to get a quicker kill. Like I've mentioned in previous videos, I am playing on PC and I do usually play on mobile, so I'm going to be a little bit slower and it won't be fully optimal like I would normally do on mobile. But just to start, we're going to be casting Alchemist's skill and then starting the wave and then casting ult. We're casting the skill first just because we have Wizard's artifact on her to get the most amount of damage from the artifact. Starting the wave and then casting it bang in the middle just so you hit all the enemies. Swapping back to Soda, and you just want to go for probably the lowest HP enemies, but in my opinion the bottom ones are usually the easiest to take out since you can just attack the next wave as quickly as possible. So starting that like that, and then once those enemies are dead here, if you did have a wave, you want to make sure that you cast the wave off the bottom right guy over here to hit this guy over here, or if you're quick enough, you won't need to worry about the enemy in the middle going underground before you can kill it with Alchemist. But if you are slow, you may lose a lot of time from the cleanup like I am here. And if you are prepared, cast the ult before this wave starts just so you can kill these two enemies that spawn in the middle, assuming that this guy and this guy are dead. If neither of these two are dead, or if one of these two are dead, dash over as quickly as possible to kill him with the ult. And if you can't do that in time before this guy disappears, cast the ult anyway, come over here and then just finish off, and then cast the wave, sorry, on these guys over here and then finish off the big guy at the end. You don't want to target this big guy at all, you want to wait for the very end because he does stay underground for the longest time. So here we're just going to be starting the wave and then killing this guy over here. This guy didn't crit and didn't take damage for some reason, so I won't be able to do it. But usually you'd come over here and then you cast the wave to kill these top two enemies over here if you're Soda strong enough. If you still... This stage here isn't too bad if you have a decently strong lemon zest build and a decently strong plantain build, but other than that you don't really need to worry about too much. We're just going to make sure the plantain is below 50% HP since we are using Werewolf's artifact. Swapping to Wizard and starting the wave and then casting his skill at the top over here. Then we go to Plantain and cast his ult around this diamond over here. We do want to delay it a little bit since we do want the enemies to like group up and get attacked by the wave. Then we're going to be swapping to Lemon Zest and casting his skill. You can do a charge up then his skill if your Lemon Zest isn't strong enough to one-shot them like mine was. However, I'm just going to be using the skill straight away. Then we're going to go to Plantain and we want to stand around this corner over here of this platform and then just casting his skill like that to hit all the enemies as quickly as possible. That enemy down there, we just want to finish off with the charge up attack. These group of enemies over here, which can be casting Wizard's skill and then, then Lemon Zest's ult. to kill them off instantly. And then just finishing off this top guy over here with the charge of attack, and then this top left guy over here with the skill. You can do it the other way around if you want. You don't need to worry about it too much. You just want to finish them off as quickly as possible. But yeah, this stage isn't too hard. The strats may change in the future, but this is the best I could come up with for now so far. To begin, we're going to be casting the start wave and then coming over to the top over here and using Cherry's ultimate, Miles' ultimate, and then Cherry's skill. Just so we can get the attack % increase from running Ninja's artifact. Just like this. Like that. And because we have the attack % increase from running Ninja's artifact, we can swap back to Cherry to kill them all instantly. And once those guys are all dead, we want to swap back to Marla and use her basic attacks, waiting for these guys to group up and just using the rest of the basic attacks. You can use a charge up attack here to make it a little bit quicker. Then you want to run down to around this bottom step over here, just so this guy runs down a little bit more and this guy runs up a little bit more. However, if you started to position up here at the beginning of the wave, this guy will be up and make it a little bit easier to use Durian. But yeah, we're just going to use Durian, and when you use the ult around the middle, and if you do aim it well and if you are grouped up well, you can just hit everyone in a single line. If you can't finish them off like my Durian can, you want to position yourself around the back so you can use the piercing shots to hit the enemies through. And if you don't have a 5-star Durian, you just want to finish off everyone with Marla or Cherry, whichever one you prefer. I like to use Cherry since my Cherry is a bit stronger than my Marla. This stage here, I reckon, is pretty easy if you have a strong DC. And because I don't have a 5-star Rockstar, I won't be able to one-shot the enemies. So again, we're just going to be casting Rockstar's ult, where we normally do it around the middle. I like to sometimes do it after I start the wave, since these first group of enemies take a while to spawn in. Then we're going to be using DC's charge up attack and coming down to the bottom over here once these three group up around DC. So we see that they're all grouped up, and we're going to just come down to the bottom a little bit and using his skill. If you don't kill 2, the next wave won't start, so I suggest resetting. If your DC can't kill 2, just use the charge up attack or basic attacks, whichever one you need to finish them off as quickly as possible. We're going to be waiting a second just for all the enemies to spawn in and come down. If we go too early, we may miss some of the guys over here, but you just want to be as efficiently as possible using DC's ult. And if this guy crits, for me personally, it would kill this guy here. None of these smaller enemies need a crit to work. But once that's done, we can just use Soda and cast her ult to hit everyone over here. This is why I like to cast Rockstar's ult after the wave starts, just so it has a little bit more uptime and makes it a little bit less constrict to kill the enemies over here with Soda's ult. And yeah, like I said, my Soda's not too strong, so I won't be getting the most efficient kill possible. This stage here is pretty hard if you don't have a strong Lemon Zest build. To begin, we're going to be casting Wizard's skill around the top here. After we start the wave, I accidentally cast it a bit before, but it doesn't really matter too much. Once that wave starts, we're just going to be swapping to Plantain and using his ult on the first big guy over here, and then using his skill immediately after. We want to be as quick as possible just so we can avoid being stunned by these big hands that come over across and hit us. Then using Lemon Zest's basic attacks to kill the enemies over here. We don't want to be using the charge attack or his skill because we want to use it on these guys that spawn after, just so we can get the most efficient second wave as possible, since the third wave is when we want to save the most amount of time with Lemon Zest. Once that starts, we just want to go over to whichever side we're closest to positioned. In this case, I was closest to the right side, but you may want to go to the left side. It doesn't really matter. You just want to mirror what I do on the right side and the left side. We want to come as far across as possible, and then we're going to go to Wizard and cast his skill and then ult. Again, you want to avoid being stunned as much as possible, since being stunned loses a ton of time. Swapping back to Lemon Zest and then using his ultimate after we use a charge of attack to try to get as many of these guys in a group as possible. Again, you want to avoid getting stunned since you do lose a ton of time, and with these final guys over here, you can just use Lemon Zest's skill and Lemon Zest's charge up attack to finish them off as quickly as we possibly can. If your Lemon Zest is too weak or if dies, you can just use Plantain, but I suggest resetting the run. And if your Lemon Zest is too weak, you can go back to Plantain after Wizard's ultimate disappears to get the the tag that he applies back up on the enemies that spawn. But yeah, this stage is definitely the hardest out of the other two. So guys, that'll be the complete guide to Season 3, Chapter 2 of the Infinite Labyrinth. I'm going to be going over the builds now, so just to begin, Cherry's going to be running the full fire set. She does run the 5-star artifact on stage 1 and 2. Marla runs this with Werewolf's artifact also on stage 1 and 2. Durian runs this, Soda runs this, Rockstar runs max amp buff, Dark Choker and Alchemist both swap between this set, but Alchemist runs Wizard's artifact. Lemon Zest runs this with the 2-star artifact. Wizard runs this with Wizard's artifact, you can also do that, but you don't really need to. And Plantains runs this. If you liked today's video, make sure to like and subscribe, and see you guys in the next one.